Hello and welcome back to English Unlocked. My name is Daniel, and you're listening to our podcast for relaxed, natural English listening practice. If you're at home right now, maybe sitting on the couch, lying in bed, or doing something simple around the house, this episode is made exactly for you. You don't need to repeat anything out loud. You don't need to pause the audio. Just listen, relax, and let English flow naturally. In this lesson, we'll focus on simple daily conversations at home. The kind of English people use when they wake up, make coffee, talk to family, clean the house, or end the day quietly. This is not textbook English. This is real, everyday English, calm, slow, and easy to follow. Many learners feel confident with grammar rules, but freeze when it comes to real conversations. That's because real English is full of short phrases, natural pauses, and simple expressions that aren't always taught in traditional lessons. That's why storytelling and listening are so powerful. When you hear English in context, your brain starts recognizing patterns automatically. You begin to understand without translating every word. And slowly, very naturally, English starts to feel familiar. In today's episode, I'll tell you a gentle story about a normal day at home. You'll hear everyday phrases, simple conversations, and common expressions that native speakers use all the time, often without even thinking about them. Don't worry if you don't understand every single word. That's not the goal. The goal is to feel the rhythm, the intonation, and the natural flow of English. This episode is perfect for listening practice, improving comprehension, relaxing before sleep, learning English without stress. So make yourself comfortable. Take a deep breath. And let's begin today's story together. This is English Unlocked. And this is English at Home, Simple Daily Conversations. Before the story begins, let's slow everything down just a little more. Imagine an ordinary home. Nothing special, nothing dramatic. Just a quiet place where everyday life happens. It's early evening. The light outside is soft, almost fading. The house feels warm and calm after a long day. This is the kind of moment we often forget to notice. Moments that feel small but are actually full of language. Simple words, short phrases, natural expressions. English lives in these moments. You don't always hear perfect sentences at home. People don't speak in long speeches. They speak simply. They say things like, "I'm tired. What's for dinner? I'll do it later. That sounds good. Let's stay in tonight." These are the phrases that make English feel real. In this episode, you'll hear English the way it sounds inside a home. Not fast, not loud, not complicated. Just natural, everyday speech. As you listen, try not to analyze too much. Don't stop the story in your head. Just let the words pass through you. If your mind drifts, that's okay. If you miss a sentence, that's okay too. Your brain is still learning in the background. This is how children learn language. By listening again and again. By hearing the same kinds of phrases in different situations. Tonight's story is about a normal day ending at home. A few small conversations. Simple actions. A calm rhythm. Nothing exciting. And that's exactly the point. Because when English feels calm, it becomes easier to understand. And when it's easier to understand, it becomes easier to use. So now, as the story begins, imagine yourself inside this home. You're not a student. You're just someone listening. Let the voices guide you. Let the pauses feel natural. And let English become part of the moment. The story begins now. It was one of those evenings when nothing special was planned. The day had been long, but not difficult, just full. Full of small tasks, messages, thoughts, and movement. Daniel arrived home a little after 6. He closed the door gently, almost automatically, and stood still for a moment. The house was quiet. Not empty, just calm. He took off his jacket, placed his shoes by the door, and walked into the living room. The lights were soft, warm, comforting. A lamp was on in the corner, giving the room a gentle glow. Outside, the sky was already dark. Winter evenings always came early. Daniel sat down on the couch and exhaled slowly. Finally, he said quietly to himself. He didn't turn on the TV. He didn't check his phone right away. He just sat there listening. The faint sound of the heating, a clock ticking somewhere in the background, the calm rhythm of the house. After a few minutes, he stood up and went to the kitchen. He poured himself a cup of tea. Hot water, a tea bag, nothing fancy. As the tea brewed, he leaned against the counter and looked out the window. Small lights were glowing in other apartments. People cooking, people resting, people ending their day just like him. He picked up his mug and took a slow sip. Too hot, he smiled. Back in the living room, Daniel pulled a blanket over his legs and sat down again. This time, he picked up his phone. No urgent messages, no missed calls. Good. He placed the phone face down on the table. Tonight didn't need distractions. Instead, he closed his eyes for a moment. He thought about the day. Not in detail, just the general feeling. It was done. Finished. Behind him. That feeling always brought a small sense of relief. Daniel opened his eyes again and looked around the room. Everything felt familiar, safe, normal. Sometimes, he thought, these quiet evenings were the best part of the day. No pressure, no expectations, just time. He took another sip of tea and settled deeper into the couch. The evening was only beginning. Daniel sat quietly for a while, holding the warm mug in his hands. The tea was just right now, not too hot, not too cold. He leaned back and let his shoulders relax. After a long day, it was the small things that mattered most. Comfort. Silence. Familiar routines. He stood up and walked slowly through the apartment, turning off unnecessary lights. The kitchen light stayed on. The living room lamp stayed on. Everything else could wait until tomorrow. Daniel opened the fridge and looked inside. What should I eat? He asked himself softly. There wasn't much there, but it was enough. Some leftovers from yesterday, a bit of cheese, bread. That'll do, he nodded. He warmed up the food and sat down at the small table near the window. While eating, he didn't rush. He didn't scroll on his phone. He just ate. Sometimes he realized eating slowly felt like a form of rest. After dinner, Daniel washed the dishes. The sound of water and plates was quiet and repetitive, almost calming. When he finished, he dried his hands and looked around the kitchen. All clean, he said quietly. Back in the living room, he picked up his phone again. This time, there was a short message from a friend. How was your day? Daniel smiled and typed a simple reply. Long but okay, at home now. He sent the message and put the phone away again. That was enough conversation for tonight. He sat down on the couch and pulled the blanket closer. The room felt even quieter now. Outside, the city continued its slow evening rhythm. Cars passed in the distance. Lights flickered on and off in nearby windows. Daniel felt a gentle tiredness in his body. Not exhaustion. Just the kind of tiredness that comes when the day is complete. He leaned his head back and closed his eyes for a moment. Being at home felt good. No roles to play. No expectations to meet. Just himself. And as the evening moved forward, everything felt exactly the way it should. The evening slowly moved forward. Daniel checked the time and realized it was later than he thought. Not late, just that calm part of the evening when everything begins to slow down. He stood up from the couch and stretched gently. "I should get ready for bed," he said quietly. There was no rush, no strict routine. Just simple steps, one after another. Daniel walked into the bathroom and turned on the light. The mirror reflected a tired but relaxed face, not stressed, not worried, just calm. He washed his hands, then his face, letting the warm water run for a few seconds longer than necessary. It felt good. After brushing his teeth, Daniel turned off the bathroom light and walked back through the apartment. These small habits helped the mind understand that the day was ending. The rooms looked different now, quieter, softer, almost sleepy. In the bedroom, he opened the window slightly to let in some fresh air. The night was cool and still. A distant sound floated in and disappeared. "Perfect," he whispered. He changed into comfortable clothes and sat down on the bed. For a moment, he did nothing. Just sat. Just breathed. He thought about tomorrow briefly, not with worry, just awareness. There would be things to do, but not now. Now was for rest. Daniel reached for his phone one last time and set the alarm. Then he placed the phone face down on the table. No more screens. The lamp by the bed was turned on, low and warm. The room felt safe, familiar. Daniel lay down and pulled the blanket over himself. The bed welcomed him easily. He adjusted his pillow and exhaled slowly. At home, at the end of the day, there was nothing he needed to prove, nothing he needed to fix, just a quiet space to rest. His breathing became slower. His thoughts grew softer. The evening was almost complete. The room was quiet now. Daniel lay still, listening to the soft sounds around him. The gentle hum of the heating. The faint noise of the city far outside. Everything felt distant. He turned slightly onto his side and pulled the blanket closer. The bed felt warm and comfortable. Exactly what he needed. Daniel thought again about the day. Not about details, just the feeling of it. It had been an ordinary day. Work, small conversations, routine tasks. Nothing special. And yet, days like this were important. They created rhythm. Balance. Not every day needed to be exciting. Some days were meant to be quiet. He took a slow breath in and let it out gently. His body felt heavy now in a good way. Relaxed, supported. The house felt asleep too. No lights. No movement. Just stillness. Daniel noticed how his thoughts became slower and less clear. They no longer formed full sentences. They simply drifted. A word. A feeling. Then nothing. He didn't try to hold on to them. There was no reason to. The night felt safe, comforting. Daniel closed his eyes and focused on his breathing. In, out. Each breath pulled him deeper into rest. Tomorrow could wait. Plans could wait. Everything could wait. Right now there was only this moment, and calm and complete. At home, at peace. At the end of the day, the night continued quietly, wrapping everything in silence. And without noticing the exact moment when it happened, Daniel allowed himself to drift, slowly, gently, toward sleep. And now, as this story comes to a gentle close, there is nothing more you need to do. You don't need to stay focused. You don't need to remember the words. You don't need to think about what comes next. Just rest. Listening to English like this is not about studying. It's about letting the language exist naturally in your life, in quiet moments, in simple routines, in calm evenings at home. If some phrases stayed with you, that's wonderful. If everything slowly faded into the background, that's wonderful too. Your mind learns even when you're relaxed. Sometimes, especially when you're relaxed. At English Unlocked, we believe that English should feel human, not stressful, not rushed. Just present. Every time you listen, you build familiarity. You train your ear. You grow more comfortable with the rhythm of real English. And that progress adds up, quietly, day by day. Thank you for spending this time with me. Thank you for inviting English into your evening. This was English at Home, simple daily conversations. From the English Unlocked podcast. I'll be here when you're ready to listen again. Until then, take care of yourself. Enjoy the quiet, and let the rest of your evening unfold naturally. Good night.